Greetings, everyone. David J Coon with Qigong Awareness. We're moving on. Qigong for Beginners, Your Path to Greater Health and Vitality. We're on to Chapter 11. So, Chapter 11, and if you haven't noticed, it's getting more heated. Even the subject matter is getting more difficult. As we move forward in the book, it's designed that way very purposefully. For those of you who are wanting to work this material, this is important material to come back to. It's not a book to just read and say, okay, I read that book. It's actually a book to go back and read and try and understand more deeply and take practices with you along the way, whether it's from our 21-day Qigong challenge or it's from some of the online courses that we teach or some of the live seminars that we're doing. Engage in the physical practices, and then this book acts as an adjunct to your physical practices so that you have a deeper understanding and an overall context of what it is that you're doing or trying to do or where you stand in your journey. So this is now, we're going to highlight chapter 11. Chapter 11 is entitled The Wall. So I chose my Taekwondo master for this particular quotation. His name is Kwang Jae Hwa. He was the one of the original Taekwondo masters who helped General Che of the Korean Army develop the forms, the martial art Taekwondo forms for Taekwondo, and he helped spread Taekwondo around the world. He's also considered the father of um, what is it called? Eastern Europe, something like that. European Taekwondo, something like that. Anyway, an amazing man, very intense man. One of my young masters, very young masters. Anyway, he used to say, have to keep go, no choice, never give up. Have to keep go, no choice, never give up. Very adamant about that. So when we're moving through certain situations and let's say trying to move through certain situations, we're trying to better ourselves, we're trying to better our life, we're trying to better our health, we're trying to better our education, we're trying to better the amount of money that we're making in our life, we're trying to better um, ourselves in terms of different attributes of courage and strength and vitality and so on, we're going to hit walls along the way. And people who are beginners don't understand that. Um, they don't understand that things aren't always going to be a steady up climb. You know, you're going to go 5 steps forward. You're going to go 3 steps back. You're going to go 6 steps forward. You're going to go 6 steps back. You're going to go 7 steps. You're going to fall back four. It's just how it is. And every time we are getting close to making an improvement, we're going to hit a wall. And that wall is mental. But that wall is even more importantly, or more importantly for our conversation anyway, it's emotional. We feel it, and runners feel it. People who are trying to get their doctorates feel it. People who are just trying to graduate high school feel it. People who are trying to work, the most they've ever worked is 30 hours and they're trying to work 40 hours. They're going to hit their wall, and the wall is normal, okay? It's normal, it's natural, and that is where the evolution and that is where the growth happens. When you get through that wall, whether you go under it, over it, around it, or through it, it's one of the things I love about martial arts, but I also loved about Spartan races. Spartan races are these obstacle courses where you go, over things, under things, around things. Either way, you got to get through these obstacles. It's essentially an obstacle course, like a military obstacle course, that type of thing. And whenever you're training in these and you're pushing yourself, you're going to hit a wall. And this also happens with Qigong. It happens when you're doing standing tree meditation for an hour or 15 minutes for some of you. It's going to happen when you're doing seated meditation. For some of you, that'll happen in 10 minutes. For some of you, it'll happen in five. For some of you, it'll happen when you hit 30 minutes. And for some of you, you won't hit your wall until you reach an hour or 2 hours, right? So for me, it's very easy for me to hit my wall. I just sit down, start doing meditation. Anywhere between 2 and 4 hours, I'm going to hit some kind of wall on any average day. And that wall goes back to what we talked about in chapter 10. It's not just a wall. Oh, it's just a wall. I told you it's psychological, yes. I told you it's mental, yes, yes, but also emotional. The emotional, I said, is even more important on the level that it is. That takes us back to chapter 10. What was chapter 10 about? The emotional what? Pain, body. That's the wall, guys. That's the wall. And we have to get through it. All of your relationships are intimately attached, connected to, and many of you are enmeshed with other people via your emotional body. If you listen to what I talked about, spoke about in relationship to chapter 10, I was talking about how important it is to understand this relationship of the emotional pain body. And I referenced Eckhart Tolle and I said that Power of Now is a great book, but in my opinion, New Earth is even better. And I said that New Earth is even better because Eckhart Tolle gets into a subject that very few people talk about. I tell people when I teach seminars and stuff, the emotional body, the pain body, it is the elephant in the room. It is the underlying current that people are running. They're trying to put the pretty face on, but underneath they're depressed. They're trying to be superhero on the surface and everybody loves them, and underneath that person might literally go commit suicide. And if they did go commit suicide based on that little reference that I'm giving, it's because of that pain body. It's because of that wall. So this is no joke. This is like serious stuff. And yet at the same time, it's not something we should be afraid of. And it is a darkness that lives within us. We all have it. Some of us have it more than others, but we all have it. It's there. Some people will go along just fine, and then they trip and they sneeze. Well, something happens in their life, somebody dies, somebody leaves them, and then bam, this emotional body, this wall is right in their face. In fact, the majority of private clients that I work with, they don't come see me because they have a little problem with their foot, they got a little problem in their shoulder. These people come see me because they've entered into some arena in their life that they don't know how to negotiate in, and they don't know what the context for it is, because this emotional body, this pain body is also related to your subconscious. It's also related to your past, your memories of your past and the emotions associated with your past. And this is collectively called your ego. So all of that is related to your wall. We have techniques and tools we can use to get through it. There are different forms of breath we can use. We can continue to use certain trains of thought, mindfulness practices. It's going to take some time, but if you want to change and you want to transform your life, we've got tools, we've got techniques to help you do it. You're not going to do it in a day, but you will do it over time. And the people who take on these kinds of practices, in my opinion, the kinds of Qigong practices and meditation practices and so on that I'm sharing with you, these are the kinds of practices that are going to change your life 6 months to 5 years from now. They will. You look at a lot of other methods and a lot of other ways in which people try and do it. They try a shortcut over here, a shortcut over there, a shortcut over there. But none of the kinds of shortcut that I'm referencing, they're kind of like flash in the pan kind of ideas. They go by very quickly. You try it, they don't work. You spend your money on those herbs and those vitamins and these different things. But meanwhile, you're facing a wall and it's going to be there. And then you eat a bunch of food and you gain a bunch of weight, and the wall is now hiding. You're less aware of the wall. And that is one of the reasons, by the way, that people are gain so much weight is because they're literally trying to bury their awareness. Check this out. If that's you, listen carefully. bury the awareness of the wall just so they don't have to deal with it, don't have to feel it, don't have to feel it, don't have to face it. So I understand it's scary. I understand. Like I said, there are people literally who might have to do that for a while because it's too much to see that wall or face that wall. But if the wall is coming up for you, it's presenting itself, we have ways to deal with it. We have ways to breathe through it. We have ways to burn it up energetically, light a fire in the lower dantian, burn the energy up through the ladder, awaken consciousness in the heart, the third eye, the crown. That's what I did, and I highly recommend it. That is chapter 11, and then chapter 12 is our conclusion here on the level that it is. Um, for this particular way of doing it. In other words, there's always more, and I have more books to write and so on. But uh, I chose Thich Nhat Hanh for chapter 12. And if you don't know who he is, you can go ahead and look him up. But he was a famous Buddhist monk, passed away here recently. Um, but was already in a very profound state of awakening. In mindfulness, one is not only restful and happy, but alert and awake. Meditation is not evasion, it is a serene encounter with reality. So, chapter 12, I'm just leaving you with a glimpse of what meditation is. Stillness practice, still meditation, as practiced by the Buddhists, as practiced by the Zen Buddhist practitioners and others, it is a much more difficult discipline. And let's just say that for the next some number of years, I'm gathering practitioners to myself. Some of you I've known, some of you I've been students of mine for 20 years. Let's just say that some of you will be students of mine 20 years from now. Those of you that are students of mine 20 years from now, we will definitely be going into greater detail and depth with still meditation. I do think it's the greater challenge. And I think that many of you are faced with the need to go to work, take care of the kids, go back to work, pay the bills, moving from here, moving there, going here, going there. So my emphasis, and by the way, going to the doctor along the way and so on and so forth. So my first emphasis for this busy world is not the extreme of seated and very still meditation, although I sneak that in every single one of my online programs and my live workshops. Um, but in none of them yet have I had any of you sit with me, still practice for 4 hours at a time. Haven't done that yet, but that's what I do in my own personal time. But that's an art unto itself, and it takes even more discipline. But I wanted to whisper to it here. There are profound things to be found in still meditation. And I have more than 2 or 3 videos on the YouTube channel that are available to you if you're interested in beginning to practice either standing or seated still meditation and you're wanting to take that to a deeper depth. It's profound. And once again, I could go on and on about that all day, and we'll see at what point I choose to write that book. But we want to have some degree of stillness practice in our life. And I think that it's a one very powerful way of doing it is putting it right in the middle or right at the end or right at the beginning of our other movement practices. I think this is a really practical way for the average person to squeeze in not only still meditation, but awakened still meditation. because many people will sit down, and if they don't do movement and they just maybe they sat at their computer all day and then they're just going to go sit in Buddhist meditation, if that's all you do, your body is going to be, as the Buddhists referred to their bodies back in the day, as big skin bags. It's going to become a big skin bag because you're not training the bones, the musculature, the tendons, you're not burning the calories, you're not moving your body. And in this culture in particular of the United States in which I live, we need movement practice. And we also need to squeeze in stillness practice because that's also very important. But I think that as a movement artist, um, even though I'm a stillness practitioner too, I am a movement practitioner. It's very, very important to move our bodies. And the more heaviness that we have on our body, it's not just about our looks, it is about our health, but it's not just about our physical health, although that's very important. It is also about our mental health, how we feel, what our energy levels are. And guess what, guys? It's also about our level of awareness, our level of consciousness. And that takes more to explain. But briefly put, if all of my consciousness and all of my awareness is going toward feeding my body, which keeps getting heavier and more dense and more problems and more everything, I become so obsessed with the vessel, and the vessel is no longer a vehicle for transformation. The vessel is just like this thing that I think is me, and I now have to feed it, and I have to clothe it, and I have to pay for the medical bills, and I'm obsessed with my body. And therefore, what happened to awakening consciousness? What happened to the glow of the God that lives within me, the glow of the spirit that lives within me? We forget that, and that's sad. So hopefully we can bring more of the awakening practice onto the planet. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our little conversations. If you have made it through all 12 chapters, in other words, listening to me talk about it on the video and maybe even read it on the book, send me a little shout out and say hello and let me know. I'll give you a little energetic pat on the back and say hello back. Um, I thank any of you that have done that. I thank you for going through with it. This world, I believe, needs all the help that it can get. And for every one of you that chooses to heal and change and transform yourself, the world has just through that practice has already become a better place. So thanks for tuning in. Again, the book can be found on ebook if you'd rather buy the ebook. And if you're just starting out, you haven't practiced with me yet, and so on. Good stuff on YouTube. Check that out. Eight Brocades is a nice flow that's on YouTube. And if you're just beginning, you might want to check out 21 Day Qigong Challenge. It's a very chill challenge, but it is done for 21 days and it's only 10 minutes a day. You can literally do it in as little as 10 minutes a day. And after 21 days, you're going to have a new habit. It takes 21 days to change a habit. After 21 days, you'll change your habit, and you may find that you feel more energized and ready to take on more practice. So, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Take care.